welcome back to Defluenced podcast. I'm Uncle Bonehead, and with me, as always, is
Alan Taylor.
There we go. The distinguished Alan Taylor. Don't forget the distinguished.
The extinguished.
Today we're going to talk about social tokens, what they are, what they can be used for, and is it worth doing it? So first, let's just lay out there for everybody, what is a social token?
That's a great question. They're also called creator tokens or personal tokens, depending on how they're used. But essentially, a social token is a token that a community uses for various purposes. Creators can use them to reward fans and incentivize fans to do certain things that are important to that creator. Communities can also use them as a reward system or a loyalty system. They can be used for governance. Governance tokens typically fall in another category, but if your social token also has governance features, then there can be some overlap. But basically, it's a token that is built around a community or a token that is devised to serve a community.
Okay, now are these what they call like second layer tokens? One of those, I see that term used a lot.
Yeah, you're talking about the blockchain, and it depends on the blockchain that they're built on. So, for instance, if you build your token on Polygon, which is a layer 2 blockchain, then you could call it a layer 2 token, but usually people just call it a token because it's built on a blockchain that already exists, and so the layer 2 isn't necessary usually, but layer 2 is reference to the blockchain.
Okay. So now that we know what they are, why?
Why? Yeah, great question. Great question. They're usually created for various reasons. Some people say they're not good for building a community around, but they are good for introducing to a community that you already have. If you already have a strong community, then a social token can help you reward that community and incentivize that community and make that community stronger. So there are different ways that it can be used. And so, like, let's say you're an author or a musician or a video content creator, maybe you're a podcaster, and you want to build loyalty among your fan base. Well, you can introduce a social token that you can give out to your fans for doing certain things. So let's say, for instance, you want your fans to share your podcast more. So every time someone shares a podcast, you could send them some tokens. So it's like a free incentive, to help you build your brand. If you're an author, maybe you pass out free tokens to people who buy your books, or maybe join your book launch team. Same thing for a musician. So you can do it that way. If you're a brand and you want to, sell your product, you can use social tokens as a loyalty program. And so, just like your traditional loyalty programs, people earn points for buying so many different types of products or whatever, and then you give them discounts based on how many loyalty points they have. You can do something like that with social tokens.
So the idea is not to start a token and then try to build a community around it. It's to have an established community and then use it to reward that community.
Yeah, that's the general idea. In my case, I just recently launched the Taylor token.
Yep.
I do have fans, but I don't have thousands of fans. I just have a handful of fans. They have fans and they have super fans, and so I probably have maybe, I don't know, single digit super fans, and then my fans, the people who kind of pay attention to what I'm doing, buy my books, follow me on Twitter, that kind of thing. They probably number in, I don't know, I'm just guessing, maybe 100. Okay, so I've got thousands of followers on social media, but I wouldn't say that they're all necessarily fans, because they haven't maybe not bought they may not have bought any of my books. They
So
may just be following me for the content.
so they're more like
But a
the
fan,
passive fan.
yeah. So if they follow me on social media and they've bought at least one book, then they're a fan. If they follow me on social media and they buy all my books and they read all of my blog posts, they're subscribed to my newsletter, they read everything I write, like everything I write, maybe collect my NFTs, then they're more of a super fan. And so I have a few of those, not a ton. I have more fans, but I'm not like Stephen King or Neil Gaiman, who have thousands of, people, they're household names. People know who they are.
Right.
So, uh, so I am kind of building upon my small community base in hopes that I can grow my token along with my community. And that's typically discouraged to do it that way, but I'm kind of a do it my own kind of way kind of person. So
There's nothing wrong with that. You've been a writer for several years. I was going to say decades, but I didn't want to date you.
well, I've been a writer of some sort, yes, for probably 30 years, a freelancer for 17, an author for a few years less than that. And so I do have fans in different genres. And so the challenging thing for a guy like me is, I write nonfiction, I write fiction, I've got poetry published. I'm in several different genres. So I'm not well known in any of those genres, but I do have some achievements in several genres and fans in several different genres. And so, how do I pull all of that together under one umbrella? And I've really struggled to wrap my brain around that. But I think I did that with the creation of a branded token I call the Taylor token. The ticker symbol is TAYL, $ TAYL, so it's tails. Get your tails.
That's awesome.
Just to play on the name.
Now, if somebody that's not into Web3 or understand all this, how would they go about bringing their community in and giving them a token? What would that look like?
Yeah, well, first you have to find the place to create your token, and there are a few different ways of doing that. So you can go to a platform like Coinvice or Roll. Roll is a platform where you can create a social token. Coinvice is another one. There used to be one called Rally, but they ran into problems, and so they had to shut down. And they were the largest one until they shut down. But you need to find a way to create the token. Another way is to go to a protocol. It's not a platform, but you can go to a website like bakemytoken.com and fill out the form and create a token that way. And there are pros and cons to doing it each way. I went to Bake My Token. I didn't want to um, be locked into a platform where if something happened to that platform, then my tokens disappeared. Um, so
That
I
makes
went
sense.
to the protocol. I did it through a protocol. That way, those tokens were airdropped to my wallet. So I have 1 million tokens in my wallet. I can distribute them any way I want to.
Oh,
I have
that's
more
cool.
power control that way.
Now, how actually easy is it to do something like this?
It's super simple, man. It's like putting on your shoes.
Really?
Yeah, you go to bake my token, and you basically um, uh, just kind of fill out the form. How many tokens you're going to use. Pick the type of token that you're going to create. There's several different types. Are you going to allow people to mint their own token, or you just want to keep it simple and create a token that you can create and send out to people from your own wallet? I went simple. I went the simple route. You can add more features to it, and the more features you add, the more complicated it gets and the more it costs. I went very simple and just said, make me 1 million tokens, drop them in my wallet. I'll do all the distribution myself. I won't allow anyone to mint them. I'm not going to list them on exchanges or any of that. It's just a way for me to reward people for doing things that help me out. And so it's very, very simple.
Now, is it something that could be put on exchanges and stuff that would
Yeah,
make?
you could list them on exchanges, but I think there are some downsides to doing that. Number one, with the SEC getting aggressive with pursuing securities, crypto securities, you run the risk of making your token look like people are investing in you, and I wanted to avoid that.
Yeah, we don't want to
Um,
see the
yeah,
we don't want to see the headlines saying SEC sues Taylor token.
yeah, right. They probably wouldn't. I'm too small, but at some point, I expect there to be laws that govern this, and so um, I wanted to keep it simple for that purpose. But also, there's another danger to social tokens. If you open the market up for them to be bought and sold through exchanges and that kind of thing, then you tend to attract speculators. They'll come in and buy up a bunch of tokens, and then once your community grows, and you get 100,000, 10,000 people buying your token, and that drives up the value, then those speculators will tend to sell a whole bunch at once. That um, diminishes the value of your tokens. And there have been creators who have watched their economies crash because of that kind of speculation.
Wow.
And I wanted to avoid that.
Yeah, since we start talking about the speculation stuff, what kind of value would these tokens have? Would they? It's mainly just for the community, I would imagine. That,
Yeah.
but
So token value typically is determined by supply and value, or supply and demand. And so if you look at Bitcoin, for instance, it's very volatile. The price can go up or down, very wide swings in a short period of time. But you also notice that over time, Bitcoin's price goes up, up at certain points, at certain times, and then during other times it goes down. And that's because what you're seeing when it's going up is you're seeing rising demand, and so more people are buying in, and as they do that, the price goes up. And then on the downward cycles, that's people selling off, and as more people sell off, then the price goes down. And so that's kind of how things work in the crypto world. There are other factors that may influence it, things that are beyond our control. For instance, um, external factors like the economy. You know how the economy is doing. That can
yeah.
determine some things. But it's largely supply and demand.
So, with just a little side note, do the ticket or ticker symbols have to be 4 or 5 letters? Can they be 6 or 7?
Yeah. There could be 3 letters. You know, you got XRP and BTC and ETH. Those are the short ones. There are some like Matic, which is 5 letters. I've seen them 6 or 7 letters long.
Okay.
So yeah, that's possible.
Because I've got an idea and it's going to require 7 letters.
Oh, one thing I'll say about that, I'm not sure if it depends on the platform or the protocol that you're using. I think, if I recall correctly, Bake My Token allowed you 4, maybe 5 characters. It
Okay.
wouldn't go longer. Don't quote me on that, but I think I remember seeing that. So the protocol or the platform might limit you, but there's no rule other than that dictates that.
That Bake My Token, is that only one protocol or does it do more than just
Well,
one?
it's one protocol, but you can create a token for several different blockchains, and so you can do one for Polygon, you can do one for Ethereum. I think Binance Chain. There, you have different options. So depending on which blockchain you want to mint for, you have several different options.
Cool. And it's not like an arm and a leg full Bitcoin type that you got to spend.
No, it cost me um, point 0.5 Matic, which is very small price. Matic being the price that it's at today, it's like less than a penny. So
Wow.
it doesn't cost much. It costs more depending on how complicated you get. So if you add more complex features, then you pay a little more. Um, so it is a fun process. I just wanted to try this out and see how it would work for me.
It's very cool. You did post a tweet thread on Twitter earlier. I didn't get to read all of
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Essentially, it just talks about social tokens, what they are, why a person would create one,
Ah,
what they do, that kind of thing. And then I post to my mirror post that I posted this morning earlier, at the end of that thread. And if you go to that mirror post, mirror.xyz Alan Taylor.eth,
yep.
and look at the latest blog post. Um, I'm talking about my Taylor tokens, why I created them, what I hope to do with them, what I'm planning to do for utility. It's important in social tokens that you give them some type of utility, because people don't want them if they're not useful for something. And so
Right.
I tell what I plan to use them for. And if you collect that post, limited to 5 mint, then if you're one of the 5 people who collects that post, I'm sending out 200 of my Taylor tokens to those 5 people.
That's cool. I seen you had this quote in here from, I lost it now. Ah, there it is. The Web3 evangelist Joe Polizzi. Did I pronounce that
Yeah,
right?
Joe Polisi. Yeah, Polisi.
Thou shalt not build on rented land. That is a great quote.
Yeah, I like him. Yeah, his story's interesting. He's got a community. It's a strong community, and a website called The Tilt, and he created the Tilt token for his community. but he did it on Rally.
Ah,
And last year, what happened was the SEC accused Coinbase of selling securities and named several tokens that was listed on Coinbase and called them securities. And Rally was one of those.
okay.
And so um, and so Rally after that started having issues. And earlier this year in January, they announced that they were sunsetting their product. They couldn't survive the turbulence.
I think I remember covering that.
Yeah, I think we talked about that early on. I, I obviously disagree with the SEC on Rally. I don't think Rally is a security. I don't understand how they even came to that conclusion because um, it's a token that allows people to create their own tokens. But maybe the SEC knows something I don't. Maybe Rally was promising people equity in their business. I don't think they were, but I might have
they,
missed it.
they
And if they were, then maybe that is a security.
they
But
see competition's what it is.
yeah, so 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 Rally couldn't survive. So if you had a token on Rally, if you created your token on Rally, Rally went out of business, then your token is worthless. You can't do anything with it anymore, and that's what happened to the Tilt.
Ah, I get it. So, what would you think would be the better way to? Well, obviously the protocol thing. You said you need to put some sort of a utility to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what I'm trying to do with my token, with the Taylor token, I want to encourage people to assist me in, um, you know, expanding the word about my book and my content. So when people collect my NFTs, my literary NFTs on Mirror and Paragraph, then I shoot them over some tokens. Um, I haven't implemented this yet, but I plan to um, offer tokens to people who buy my books or leave book reviews. So, I want to encourage people to leave book reviews. If they join my launch team for books and help me launch a book, I'll give them tokens for doing that. I have some gated content on Paragraph, so I may send tokens to people that access my gated token, gated content. So these are ways that people can earn my content. I've got other ideas on top of that. I plan to maybe at some point launch a Discord community, so people may earn tokens that way. But what can they do with those tokens? So um, they could access some of my gated content. And so if I have subscriptions on Paragraph, which I haven't implemented yet, but will probably do so in the near future, then you'll be able to, once I launch that feature, subscribe to gated content either by paying with Matic or with fiat money, or if you have Taylor tokens, you could
Excuse
pay
me.
with Taylor tokens.
That would be cool.
And so, yeah, so I'm creating that kind of utility. Maybe offering access to my future Discord server if you have Taylor tokens. And so And it's, one way I could do that is to have like a tiered system where if you have X number of Taylor tokens, then you have access to um, the general Discord server. If you have more of the tokens, let's say 10,000 plus tokens, maybe you have access to a premium um, part of my Discord server, more exclusive part of my Discord server, where you have access that the general server participants don't have. So you can tier it like that. And so I'm thinking through all of that to see exactly how I want to play that out.
I'm starting to see more of why these content coins or tokens, whatever you want to call them, make more sense. It's very cool.
Yeah, yeah, and
It's
there's really no limit to how you can use them. It's just a matter of your own imagination, how how you want to build your community, how you want to reward your community, and so you have to think about, well, what's important to you? What do you want your community to do? And then you figure out a way to reward them for doing those things. And then if you have things to offer them, what utility can you add to your token that would get people to be interested in them?
that is very cool. Is there anything that we should probably tell them about pitfalls? Other
Yeah.
than
So if you're interested in a social token, um, primarily for its monetary value, like you see it as an investment and you want to own it so that the price, when the price goes up, you sell it and you make a whole lot of money, that's probably not the best approach. There are tokens where you can do that. So, Bitcoin's a good investment. ETH is a good investment. There are other coins and tokens that make good investments. Social tokens are not designed for that. So I would caution against having that kind of mindset regarding social tokens. Um, especially if a social token is listed on exchanges and you can buy it. My token, you can't buy it from an exchange, and so the economy works differently. I have a closed economy. It's not an open economy where you can go to an exchange and you can buy Bitcoin at all these different exchanges. It's a more open economy. Now, one thing you can do with probably any token, I would guess, unless there are restrictions, you can sell directly to other people. So if you have, let's say you have 100,000 Taylor tokens, if you wanted to, you could probably list 10 or 20,000 of those, however many you want, for sale. But you couldn't do it on an exchange. You would have to do it wallet to wallet and peer to peer. And so if you could find a buyer willing to buy those tokens at a price that the two of you agree on, then you could sell those tokens for ETH or Bitcoin or another cryptocurrency, or even for fiat money if you wanted to. The problem is you would have to find a buyer. You'd have to find a willing buyer, and that might be a challenge.
yeah, I could see that.
But if somebody becomes popular, let's say you own, let's say you earn 100,000 Taylor tokens, helping me do things. You join my book launch teams. You write reviews of my books. You collect my NFTs. You join my Discord server. You're very active in my server, and you start earning all these tokens. And then 10 years down the road, now I've got more cred. Let's say I've published 20 more books. Some of them are New York Times bestsellers. I've got publishers knocking down my door trying to get me to go to work and write books for them. Now I have a little bit bigger and better reputation than I did before. In that case, you might be able to sell those tokens and find a buyer very easily.
Makes sense. Very cool.
Yeah, but I caution people not to see it as an investment, because I don't want anyone to get in trouble.
Well, you're
thinking,
you're investing in yourself, basically.
well, yeah. I mean, it is kind of an investment because I'm investing in me. Okay, for one, I'm investing in me, and I always see myself as an investment. And I do that in a number of ways. So I educate myself on the latest marketing strategies for authors, and I educate myself on the latest storytelling techniques and things like that. So that's always an investment in myself. My fans are investing in me in a sense when they buy my book. I mean, that's an investment.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that you're looking to buy that book and then turn around and sell it and make a profit. I mean, you could potentially, but that's not really why you're buying the book. You're buying the book because you like maybe the work that the author's doing and you want to support them. And so that is kind of an investment.
So invest in the people. Don't invest in these corporations. I'm trying to figure out how to say it.
See it that way. Yeah, you can see it that way. Invest in the person, invest in the brand, invest in the community. Get yourself vested in those things, but don't look at the product as an investment vehicle, because I think that leads to a misunderstanding about what they are, and maybe some misunderstanding about what are realistic expectations.
Here's a better way. A better way for my brain to say it. Don't invest in the product. Invest in the creator.
Yeah, that's a great way to say it. Probably better than the way I said it. Very simple. Yeah, invest in the creator.
Don't invest in the content.
You're basically showing your support, right? So
Right.
if you think about it as like an artist, before there was cryptocurrencies, artists used to get patrons. And so if someone was a painter or a poet, they were some type of creator, they might have some wealthy benefactor maybe give them a boost by buying them supplies for their craft.
Like Patreon.
Okay, I mean, that's patronage. That's the form. That's basically the. That's what Patreon is based on, right? So creators set up a Patreon account. They're looking for supporters. They're not investing. They're not expecting to get a monetary return on that. They're just showing their support for someone that they like.
Yeah. So they're getting content out of it, but
right, they get content. They may get access to that creator, and so, for instance, if you give money to a Patreon account, or you buy a creator's social token, or an NFT or something of that nature, maybe that creator will give you some of their time. So maybe you get a roundtable discussion with that creator, right?
Right.
Or you get access to premium content that no one else has access to. So you do get some perks.
So don't invest in the content, invest in the creator.
Exactly.
Because the creator will give back.
Yeah, and that's basically what what it is, what it's all based on is you support the creator, and then the creator rewards you with more content or more of their time or some other perk.
I like that. I should work for a marketing agency.
You should.
No. No. Absolutely not. Anyways, should we wrap this up? It's been 35 minutes or so.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. Wrap it up. I'll take it.
Wow. Okay. Don't forget to subscribe to paragraph.xyz at tailored content. It's TAYLORDED content. And you can find us at Defluenced.online. Email us at podcast@defluenced.online, and find us wherever free podcasts are sold. You got anything else?
Yeah. And never, ever stick your finger where you wouldn't stick your face.
Hey, that's my line. See how you are? All right. I'll let it stand. Here goes the outro.